So we've been talking at the very beginning of our study of this tractate of Nedarim. We've been talking about the power of language and precise language and how we interpret language. And one of the principles which Maimonides brings in his commentary on the Mishnah, right back in the third chapter, was Ha'ikar bakol b'chol zeh bit Nedarim halach achar l'shon b'nei adam. The principle in all of this is that in Nedarim it goes according to the speech of men. He says, it's all interpreted according to commonly used language. So we are precise about language, but the meaning of a word is the meaning in which people use it. It's not some theoretical meaning. It's related to how people use the word. So now we're going to see all kinds of, we're going to get into language about cooking. And of course, cooking is the kind of activity which is most connected to the Shon B'nai Adam, to the speech of men, because people have got all kinds of words for food, which are very particular to place and time and custom, and kind of we all sort of know what they mean at the time. And it can be difficult to translate them with the distance of time. And we'll see some of that. But let's just start off. Let's start off. We're in the 6th chapter. We're going to go through a lot of these definitions now for 2 chapters, and we'll try to race through them. Someone who vows from muvushal. Now, muvushal means cooked, but it means cooked in kind of a boiling sort of way. It's definitely cooked in a pot. So someone takes a vow he's not going to eat food muvushal. That means he can eat other foods like, tsali is definitely roast. Now, shaluk is an interesting word. Some people think it means overcooked. Some people think it means undercooked. Actually, the Safari translated it as seed, and I just left it there. But we don't really know what it is, but it's definitely not cooked in a pot. So that's what he says. What if he says something different? Amar, Hunam tafshil she'eni to'em. Hunam, I taste any cooked dish. And this seems to be, this language, is it because we haven't used a definite article, muvushal? We just said tafshil. Or maybe it's because he says she'eni to'em, that I taste. I'm not sure that what this Mishnah, this language is going to be repeated quite a few times in this chapter. And the second time round, it's always more expansive. And the commentators don't quite understand why. But anyway, the second expression is more expansive. Kunam tavshil she'eni to'em. Kunam, if I taste any cooked dish. Asur b'ma'aseh kedarach. He's forbidden soft food made in a pot. This is kind of soft food that you would scoop up with a piece of bread. I think we're talking about soft, sort of saucy food, and you'd kind of dip your bread into it. Mutar ba'aveh, but he can actually eat hard food. There's something hard cooked in a pot, like a hard quiche. Definitely doesn't seem to be included. Umutar b'beitza teramitan. He can actually eat a lightly boiled egg. This seems to have been medicinal in those times. It doesn't really count as sort of food boiled in a pot, and certainly not smeared on. It's certainly not saucy kind of food you'd put on your bread. It seems to be medicinal. Uvedalat haramutsa. And gourds put in ashes. These gourds were kind of roasted in ashes to draw out their bitterness, and definitely not cooked in a pot. So you can eat those. Someone who vows from food made in a pot. So now we're talking about pot food rather than cooked food. Someone who vows from food made in a pot is only forbidden boiled food in a pot. Apparently, these are big pots. They'd use them for boiling. So we're going to be very precise and restrictive. But if he says, Kunam yored sheni toem, if he says, Kunam, that I taste whatever goes in a pot, much more expansive language. Asur mikol ha meat bashlin biktera. He's actually forbidden anything prepared in that pot. What if he says, min hakevesh, from what is pickled? Clearly, the language, I'm forswearing myself from, that is implied, can't you, before? He's forswearing himself from hakevesh, from what is pickled. Eino asur eila min hakevesh shel yarak. He's only forbidden pickled vegetables. Yarak is green stuff, vegetables. Again, we're going to use more expansive language now. Kavush sheni toem, kavush that I taste. Asur b'chol kavushim. If he says, if I taste anything pickled, he's forbidden all pickled food. Min hashlakim, from what is seed. We've already said shaluk might be overcooked and undercooked. We're not quite sure what. But anyway, he forswears himself from hashlakim, the seed stuff. Asur eila min hashelek shel yarak. He's only forbidden seeded vegetables. Apologies for the translation here. It's the printed text has meat, but the Kaufman has vegetables. He's only forbidden seeds and vegetables. Shaluk sheni toem. Anything seed that I taste, asur b'chol hashlukim. If he forswears himself from anything seed, he foresells him. Well, if he says anything seed, he can't eat anything seed. And again, we don't really know what this is. It might be overcooked. It might be undercooked. Shaluk is, anyway, we're not sure what shaluk means. Minat sali. By the way, all of these categories come up in the Haggadah, the roast, the Pesach lamb has to be tsali, but not mavushal and not shaluk from memory. So then maybe there's a reflection here of the taxonomy of cooking in the Haggadah, in the Pesach, in Mishnah Pesachim. So min hatsali, he forswears himself from everything that's roasted. From the roast. He's only forbidden roast meat, divrei Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda. But if he just said, Salui she'ani toem, if I taste anything roasted, so maybe this includes roast vegetables, asur mikol hatzluin, he's forbidden everything roasted. Along the same lines, if he says, I forswear myself, min ha-maliach, from what is salted, or from the salted, I should really translate it, from the salted. Eino asur eila min ha-maliach shel dag. He's only forbidden salted fish. Apparently, the common way to salt the most common thing that they would salt is salt fish. So again, as we're going through this Mishnah, you can see where he uses some expression, and the Mishnah seems to narrow it down to its narrowest possible definition. Then if he uses a broader expression, like Maliach shani toem, if I taste anything salted, asur b'chol hamluchim, he's actually then forbidden anything salted. And so going back to our original principle, this is probably the best way of understanding this Mishnah. The principle is that in Nedarim, it goes according to Lashon B'nei Adam. It goes according to the speech of men. And we don't quite understand these fine distinctions of culinary practice, but we can be pretty certain that in the time of the Mishnah, the rabbis or the people around did understand them. And I think this Mishnah would have been a bit more meaningful in the time of the Mishnah than it is today.